Hi, friends. This is Wendy Harrop, and welcome to the Say Yes to Yourself podcast. On the Say Yes to Yourself podcast, you'll hear stories from women just like us who are adding the practice of saying yes in their daily lives in big and small ways, and as a result, are experiencing the truth that everybody wins when you say yes to yourself. Saying yes to yourself is a graceful unfolding, an intentional becoming of the very best version of you. It is my hope that in these conversations, we are able to find our truth and be inspired and empowered to live our very best lives. I'm so excited to go on this journey with you, and I look forward to finding a bit of our own story in each other's. Hello, friend. Welcome back to the podcast. I'm so happy to have you here. Still flying high in my good December vibes, and so excited that while you are listening to this episode, I am getting on the train for New York. I have a wedding this weekend in the city. I don't know if you know this, but I was a wedding planner for 30 years, and I come out of retirement for very special, fabulous couples. And this weekend is one such lovely, fabulous, dreamy event. I'm so excited to be in New York City with all the beautiful Christmas lights. And if you follow me on Instagram and you are listening to this on Friday, December the 5th, then head on over to my stories and post for all of the beautiful, just yummy holiday vibes of the city. And also my favorite Fridays will be from some lovely establishment in New York. It's all so fun. I hope you are also finding your bliss and your joy and saying yes to yourself in big and small ways. I love this month so much, as I have been telling you, but I also love that it is an opportunity and a permission slip and an invitation to say yes to yourself and to do the things that are so fun. You know, sometimes we have pretty high expectations about our birthday or about Christmas. And sometimes those can be disappointing times because our expectations are placed on other people and the desired behavior that we have of them. And we can lovingly be reminded that we are only responsible and only have control over our own experience and our own thoughts and our own feelings about what is happening. And so let's just write a better story, shall we? Let's enjoy this time. Let's celebrate what's important to us, what feels good, regardless of what the tradition has been, what feels good now, what feels right and aligned for you. And in that beautiful alignment, you will have the experiences of other people's alignment. And it's just a beautiful, co-creative, deliberate experience. And I desire that for you. I desire that for me. I am taking steps toward that every day, multiple times a day. It is a practice, but I am really not available for doing it any other way. And I'm so delighted that this podcast and the people that I have the beautiful opportunity to meet are so helpful in keeping me on this path, in this practice. And today's guest is such a wonderful, fabulous woman. If you were with us for the Say Yes Summit in August, she was one of our speakers. Our theme was freedom. Tammara Gardner is a former attorney turned personal development author, speaker, and soul-aligned entrepreneur. After years of living a life that looked successful on the outside, but left her spiritually depleted, she embarked on a journey of deep reinvention. Her signature 12 guiding stars system was born from that transformation, blending her analytical mind with her intuitive heart. Today, she teaches her system to others with a special focus on empowering women in midlife to redesign their lives to reflect who they truly are, not who they've been conditioned to be. Her work resonates with readers drawn to personal growth, conscious living, and intuitive life design, especially those seeking clarity, courage, and a meaningful next chapter. She has written her first book, The 12 Guiding Stars System. We've linked everything in the show notes. You are definitely going to want more of Tammara Gardner. Tammara, I can already tell this is going to be such a fun conversation. Thank you for being here.
Oh, thank you for having me, Wendy.
It's so fabulous to be available for all the good that the universe has for me and to really, we talk about this all the time on the podcast of surrendering is not giving up on our dream. We're surrendering all the resistance about why we can't have it yet. And this podcast continues to be such a gorgeous manifestation of ease and
Mm,
joy and delight, and how that can be successful and impactful and engaging and foster true connection. Like, I feel so connected to you. We haven't even
mm,
had our conversation yet. The listener feels so connected
mhm,
to all of my guests and to me. And what I try to remember to remind them is that connection is real. Like
mhm,
when you listener, whatever, write a review, rate the show, please. That's fabulous. Share the show with your friends, even more important to me. But when you send me a love note, a DM, some people write me actual cards. It's
mhm.
so beautiful because that's the invitation that I'm putting out. And I feel like when it's reciprocated, I think, oh my gosh, they believed me. They believed me that I wanted to hear from them. I've said that even about my home. I have this really, I'm so grateful to live here, this beautiful historic bed and breakfast on a small flower farm. And I'm in New England, which I dreamed of living here my whole life in California. And I tell people when they're here, if they come for a dinner or something, and I say, anytime you want to just come read a book, walk around, I would be so delighted. And one
Mhm.
time, of all the times I've said it, I've pulled in the driveway and saw a woman under my trellis reading a book, and I was so excited. I was like, oh, she believed me. I'm so excited. So, as if more glee was even an option, this is what happens inside my body when people respond to this invitation. And I have a feeling that you feel the same way.
I do.
I knew that about you.
Yeah.
So please tell us, how are you saying yes to yourself in this season?
Well, I think the first thing that I want to say is that this is my very first podcast interview. So you get the
First.
honor, Wendy.
First is my favorite. Yay.
So that's a fun way.
You're super great at it.
Well, thank you.
You're welcome.
That's a super fun way to say yes to
Yeah.
yourself. And for me, I'm doing podcast interviews right now because I'm making a major pivot in my life from 20 plus years as a legal professional into personal development and having my book out and teaching courses and onboarding everyone, but especially midlife women, into this revolution that we're creating of embracing desire, playing with desire, making it okay to lead a life that really makes your soul truly sing.
Yes, yes, and more yes.
Yes, and more yes. Yes, yes, and more yes. For me, that's been a journey. And I think you probably find with a lot of your guests that learning to say yes to yourself is a lifelong journey. For me, that really started in my early adulthood with a marriage that wasn't right for me. So I met my first ex-husband in college and got pregnant very early on in the marriage or in the relationship, and received a lot of pressure from the family
Mm,
to hurry up and get married because
sure.
we were having this baby. And I was barely 20 years old, so not
Mm,
really thinking about, is this what I really want? I was just kind
right.
of getting swept up in this experience. But 6 years later, I said yes to myself and got
Yeah.
divorced because the marriage wasn't working. He didn't really support a lot of the dreams and goals that I had for myself. And so I kind of was on hiatus from college. And one of the first things I did after we split was go back to school
Amazing.
because I really wanted to be an attorney.
Amazing.
And it took me a while because I had two young children as a single mom.
Hmm.
You appreciate that
Yes.
experience
Yes.
of balancing raising your children, having a full-time job, going to school at night.
Yeah.
But eventually I did it. And I tell that story to sort of emphasize how much of my identity is wrapped up in being a lawyer
Right.
because I devoted myself to that endeavor.
Yeah.
And it was 2 decades of my life.
Hmm.
And I finally achieved it and, got into the corporate environment and said, you know what? I don't like this.
Right. It's fascinating, right?
Yeah. I love substantively being a lawyer, but what I discovered when I really deep dove into that is what I love about it is helping other people.
Yeah.
Like I enjoy that experience of somebody coming to me with a problem and saying, help me strategize a workable solution to this,
Hmm.
and helping them get through that experience to the other side towards a desired result.
Right.
And that's the most transferable skill for me into personal development. So that's my journey. That's how I'm saying yes to myself right now is, you know what, corporate law, I honor you,
Right.
appreciate what you were for me for those 20 years. And now I'm going to pivot and do something new that is more closely aligned to the impact that I really want to have for people in the world.
Oh my gosh. I love that. I love everything about that story. I love you giving yourself permission to course correct.
Mm-hmm.
And of course, when there are other players in that, there's some finesse, but it's always a double blessing, right? When we are ready to complete, we're not the only ones. We might be the most courageous
Mm-hmm.
in the partnership, whether it's relational or at work, but it is always a double blessing. And I think having that information can soften how we feel about wanting something different
Mm-hmm.
because it is true. Even, I mean, you've known if you've ever had to fire somebody or you've ever wanted to quit your job, but you still go there every day, you're not doing your best work.
No.
And they know it, and you know it. And it's just a race to the courage line of who's going to complete first. And,
Mm-hmm.
it's how it was in my marriages. I have been married and divorced twice, and whatever. It just is what it is. I'm
Yeah.
57 years old. I've also had more than two pairs of shoes. I've also had two favorite meals. I've also, like, it just, we're all doing the best we can with the tools we have. And I thought I was making the best decision at the time. And when I divorced, I thought I was making the best decision at that time too.
Mm-hmm. Well, it brings up a point for me that I'd like to make about, sometimes we're conditioned to believe that sticking with an experience equates success, even if
Mm,
it's not an appropriate fit.
right.
And that, we have to grow up and be a thing and never be anything else. When
Right.
really there's so much experience out there to be had. So why not be a thing for a season and then say thank you for that. I love what that brought into my life and now I'm ready for a new season.
Right. And we don't obviously have to quit all of our jobs and divorce all of our husbands. But if we are growing and evolving and changing consistently, like it is our desire, I know it's your desire, my
Mhm.
desire, and everyone listening, and the other people or the other jobs or churches or coffee shops that we're spending time in are not interested in their own growth and expansion and evolution, then it's just no longer in alignment.
Yeah.
And I'm not discounting relationship. I'm not discounting men. I'm discounting, if you're my first marriage, that he was living a completely double life.
Mhm.
Sex, drugs, rock and roll, all the things. I was blissfully married and blissfully unaware.
Mhm.
And as soon as I became aware, he had an option to stop or leave. And
Mhm.
he said out loud, I'm too selfish to stop. I'm like, awesome.
All right, bye.
See ya. Bye. Right. And then, then round two, of course, was beautiful and fabulous
Mm.
until it wasn't. And I
Yeah.
wanted to grow and he wanted things to stay the same. So my courage set both of us free. So these things happen. And like you said, the gifts of that relationship, obviously your children, and the way that you grew and learned what agency feels like
Yes.
and what alignment feels like. And then you made the best choice to do what you wanted to do. And then what you wanted changed,
Yeah.
which is totally okay. And why
Yeah.
wouldn't it?
It's not only okay, it's beautiful, right?
Yeah,
Like that's,
for sure.
yeah, I don't think we should even just normalize it. It's we should embrace the
Celebrate it.
beauty of
Yeah,
it.
exactly. I'm with you. Yes. And you mentioned this revolution, which I love.
Yes.
I feel like it's a tsunami of love. I've heard it referred to as a divine feminine rising.
Mhm.
And when I first heard that, I was like, ooh, that sounds scary. And some people should be afraid of that. But it isn't to lord over anyone that has power now. It's
Mhm.
really just this collective rising that is rooted and grounded in love. And we can all celebrate our own experience collectively.
Yeah, definitely. I mean, it's like a reclamation or a remembering of our divinity. In my mind, it's a reclamation of
Mm-hmm.
our divinity because we're really I think, I mean, certainly as I was growing up and coming through the corporate world, there was just a presumption that this is just the way things are. And so you just kind of follow along, you fall in
Right?
line, you keep your mouth shut, you work your way through the system. And now we're really opening up to possibility that what happens if I take a step outside of the line?
Mm-hmm.
That feels interesting.
Yeah.
Okay, what if I just leave the line?
Right. Right. Which is such an interesting concept.
Mm-hmm.
There's a book called The Third Door. And I know I talk about this all the time, and I always remember the guy who wrote it. I mean, forget the guy's name who wrote it, but he talks about there's this third door. So if you imagine a club, there's, the long line for the first door. And then there's this
Mm-hmm.
other door where people that know somebody or are somebody their names on a list and they get in the door. But there's this third door, this other way to get in. And this guy, I will look it up. I know Shannon will be so fabulous and link it in the show notes. But he talked about this third door and interviewed these people like Oprah, like Steve Jobs,
Mm-hmm.
that found the third way to get in this room. And what they collectively said was finding that third way to break into whatever they were entering into wasn't the tripping point, it was leaving the line.
Yes. Yeah, it feels big and scary at that
Mm-hmm.
moment because it's unknown, right? But if you can warm yourself up to the idea, like I recommend play with desire, like just tap into your desire, get reconnected with that. You don't have to make any major shifts right now. Just find your desire. Step one. Then start slowly experimenting with that and gradually leaving that line. I think the moment will come, the more you do this, the more palate for risk you develop.
Mm-hmm.
So I've made major, major leaps in my life. I know you've made major, major leaps in your life.
Yes.
That for the average person, the idea of, I'm just going to leave a stable career in corporate law and start a whole new thing, and I don't even know what's going to happen. That
Right.
sounds terrifying.
Right.
Somebody who has, established pattern of, okay, I have taken these risks and things have worked out okay. So I'm going to
Right.
continue to take calculated risk.
Yes.
It gets easier and easier to do.
Right. Do you believe that there are a subset of people whose desire, true desire, and true satisfaction comes from staying in line?
And in a certain sense, yes.
I do too.
And I don't mean to sound condescending when this comes out of my
No,
mouth because that's not the intent. But some people are very content with a very average life, and
right.
that's perfectly fine.
Right. Or if our definition of average is their definition of exceptional. Like
Yes.
there is certainly what you're tolerating, you're actually choosing. So if you feel like you're tolerating your life, I'm going to say that that's not the definition of exceptional. But if you are truly happy and you know what, like that embodiment of happiness, not
Mm-hmm.
this is fine. This
Mm-hmm.
is fine is not happy, right? Like if
Right.
it is birthing joy in your heart on the regular,
Yeah, I say if that is your true desire, embrace your true desire,
totally.
whatever it is, wherever it is. And for some people, a very quiet, peaceful life is what their true desire.
Yeah.
And then other people, for us,
Yes.
we crave a much bigger
Yeah.
experience. And we
Mm-hmm.
have the capacity for that
Right.
experience. You are where you are. There's no right, there's no wrong. I just advocate for know your desire, embrace your desire, and live authentically in that desire.
Yes. And realize that it leads to the next one.
Yes.
And the next, I mean, I believe that the mantra of the universe is more. And if we're created in the image of God and he's creative, then that's why I'm an idea factory. It's just me being how I'm built. It's really fun. And it's not because I can hear a voice in my head that is not mine, but it's there. That's, so why can't you just be happy with what you have? Why
Mm,
can't you just be happy with how things are? And that indicates that I'm not happy.
hmm.
I am happy with what is, and I am eager for more.
Well, I think if I can get a little esoteric and weird for
Would
a
you
second,
please do it?
I believe that we incarnate into the matrix to learn, evolve, and grow. Right.
Awesome.
So our expansion is continual. You're
Yes.
you're gonna come into an experience and when it's new, you're like, this is great, right? But eventually it just gets incorporated into your everyday existence. And now it's time to graduate that level and move to another one. If you're continuing that path of evolution, you're always going to eventually outgrow where you are. And that's okay because you're fulfilling your purpose.
Exactly. It's so beautiful. So tell me the myriad of ways that how you spend your days now differ from your days in corporate law
Oh,
and
yeah.
how that is just filling your cup to overflowing.
Slower, more intentional, more present. Definitely.
Mm.
When you're a corporate attorney, there is, kind of going back to the idea of that this is just the way things are.
Yeah.
It's like you are always working. You're always turned on, and it becomes a way of life, and you don't necessarily recognize that you're just kind of floating through life without having a real connected experience to your life.
Sure.
Because you're in that routine of get up, exercise, shower, rush out the door, sit at the desk, do the things, take calls in the car on the way home. You're going on vacation, expect to still be available.
Yeah.
And you're just always turned on. And my life is so much quieter, which,
Mm.
in the beginning was uncomfortable for me
Okay.
because it was a habit to always be turned on. And I was
Right?
speaking with my business coach who helped me make this transition. And I said, I notice that when I take a shower, I'm like doing it as fast as I can.
Ah, right.
And I'm like, what would happen if I just was present in the shower?
That's where all my good ideas come.
Just to slow down. And now I'm coming into this, you know what? Everything I'm meant to experience, I'm going to experience. I will never have space for everything, but what I'm meant to experience, I will experience, and I want to experience it deliciously. So I take my time now every morning. I get up whenever I get up. I never set an alarm. I journal and meditate in the morning. Then my husband gets up and makes me breakfast. Like we
Brilliant.
have this delicious, peaceful morning. And I don't start my workday until 10 or 11
Nice.
because
Because you can do whatever you want.
I value my morning time, mornings for me. And then, depending on what I am doing that particular day, if I'm making content or meeting with clients or whatever, but I tend to leave Fridays open for me as self-care Friday. That was also weird in the beginning for me
I bet.
to just go get a massage, not read a book, just slowing
Right.
down.
Right. Like while the sun was still up.
Yeah, yeah,
Yeah. It's
weird.
amazing. Right. And giving yourself permission to do that because obviously you're not at work, you're allowed, but it feels like all of the optics of that feel like, what do you think you're doing?
Yes.
And how can I say, oh, I have a desire for more clients, but I'm also going to sit and read a book and
Hmm.
have a massage. It's like, don't I have to be at it 24 hours a day until I reach the place I want to be and then I rest? It's this whole social narrative about
Yes.
retirement. Also,
Yes.
I lead culinary trips to France for solo female travelers.
So cool.
And thank you. It is. I love that the things I do make people's faces melt off. Like it's so awesome.
That's the objective,
It
right?
is. Like I want like, oh, people are always holding their cheeks when they're listening. I'm like, I know. It's pretty amazing. But it's fascinating this window of time between women feeling too busy to go to then having all this time, but now not predictable income. So too financially insecure to go to
Hmm.
then having the mindset to take the trip and not being physically able to go.
Hmm.
That sucks.
That sucks. Yeah. I mean, It's funny you do solo trips to France. I took a solo trip to the south of France when I left a
Brilliant.
domestic partnership a few years back. And I was like, I'm just going to take myself on this trip
Mhm.
and see what happens. And it was one of the first times in my life where I didn't overschedule myself.
Yeah.
I didn't feel like, I scheduled a couple of tours and that was it. I actually wound up meeting a woman who was also a solo traveler and spoke fluent French, which I do not.
Brilliant. I don't either.
So I met her and she was like, well, let me take you out to all these places and these
Hmm,
restaurants. And
please do.
I wouldn't have had that experience if I was like, I need to be on a schedule.
Hmm.
Sometimes structure's good. I value structure,
Yeah,
but it's also okay to allow space for play.
totally. I was a wedding planner for 30 years, so I bring that expertise into planning these trips. I know how to bring different vendors together to
Hmm.
make a magical experience for my client, then bride, now fabulous woman on a trip. And there is this balance of, so many times I had a bride that said, oh my gosh, I do not want it overscheduled. I just want it to be easy breezy. Like, okay, well, those events actually require more of a framework. Otherwise, it's going to be 7 days long.
Yeah.
Because if there's no plan, I can create something that feels like it was very easy breezy, but it requires it's that duck analogy that is gliding on the surface, but the legs are going like crazy. But it takes a level of foundation to
Hmm.
have that kind of experience. But it's fascinating what you said about not wanting to be overscheduled. That is a dance in creating the itineraries for this trip or
Hmm.
these trips because the price point is appropriate but high
Hmm.
because I only take 4 women because I want it to be really intimate and I want to be inside our vendors' apartments doing our cooking classes and those fun things. And I want to stay where I want to stay, to
Yeah.
really beautiful hotels. So right there, the price is just higher. But this balance of enough items to communicate value balanced with enough time to communicate experience and provide space for experience
Hmm.
that is collective with the group, but also individual, and to have a lot of margin for floating in and out of we're walking toward our scheduled event, but I've created enough bandwidth that when we're taken by 1 or 12 boutiques on the way, we've got time to go in and spin around in there and
Yeah.
enjoy the journey as well as the destination. But it takes intention
Yes.
and it's important. And it's the same thing that you're doing and I'm doing every day in these entrepreneurial endeavors. There are things that need to get done, and
Hmm.
there's a certain amount of energy required for different tasks. I had a woman on the podcast, Rebecca Arnold, and she talked about time chunking, but she does like energy zone blocks. So she creates her to-do list and then she separates it by in energy zones
This
of
is fascinating.
I know, right? I wrote it down. Like I was so excited because so she's like, what do I need to be like spot on? What tasks require really intense energy and presence? And then what can I do when I'm like 3 o'clock in the afternoon and I'm crashing? Like I'm about what are those things that will help me feel accomplished? They require attention, but not
Right.
total.
More
Yeah, it's
flow.
fascinating. Right,
Yeah.
exactly. So it is this constant discovery. I mean, people might think, oh, your life must be so easy now that you're not a corporate lawyer, but it's like you're self directing every minute of your day. That's
Yeah.
exhausting.
And this kind of goes back to what we were talking about previously. Like, some people need more structure, right? Like, if you are that person who needs more structure, be in a structured environment.
Yeah.
But you're right. I mean, it, it takes a special person to step into entrepreneurship because you don't have a boss. You're the boss, right?
Mhm.
You don't have a structure being handed to you. You make your structure.
Right.
So
Yeah.
if you're not the kind of person who can self-direct,
Hmm.
I'll fine that totally okay, but acknowledge it about yourself and put yourself in a situation where you can flourish.
Totally. And build your team of support that creates enough structure if you want to be an entrepreneur, but you need more structure. Yeah. I feel like this house and property gives me that balance of there's always something to attend to if I'm not sitting at my desk. And when I'm out in the field, I know that there's always something to attend to at my desk if it's too hot or raining or snowing
Hmm.
or whatever's happening here that I can't be out there. Yeah, it's interesting. It's reminding me too about my daughter. She's 11 and she transferred to a new school last year. So she's in her second year there. And it is the kids learn whatever they have a desire to learn, but there are no classrooms and no grades and no teachers. There are staff members, and she is self directing all day long. And she's an introvert, which I understand because I have a grasp of the English language, but I have no idea what it's like to have
Hmm.
that personality. And she's the leader of her cute little posse of kids. So and they're younger than her. So she's creating plays and games, and she comes home and she's making all the cards for the game that they're playing and all of these things. She's so creative. But when she gets in the car at the end of she sleeps all the way home because she's so exhausted from being the boss of her
Yeah.
day.
Yeah, I love that you're doing that for her though,
Me
because it
too.
is a loose
Thanks.
structure, right? But she's going to grow up knowing what it is to tap into her own desire.
Ah,
Yeah.
yes. And it's fascinating because when it differs from mine, I get the opportunity to remind myself it's like, this is exactly what I want. I
Yeah.
want to raise a young woman who knows what she wants and says what she wants,
Yeah.
even when it's different than what I want.
Yeah.
It's my favorite.
Yeah.
I
Good
love
job,
it.
mama.
Thank you. I received that. Thank you so much. Tell me about the book.
Okay. So the book is called The 12 Guiding Stars System. And this is a system that I developed for myself over 20 years of manifestation practice
Amazing.
that provides a structure for manifesting goals, and not just arbitrary goals, but goals that actually mean something to you.
Hmm.
So what the system does is it relies on the structure of the houses of astrology, and that's as far into astrology as we get. But
I am very astro curious, so this
okay,
is helpful.
excellent. So then you probably know, or for those who don't know, in astrology, there are 12 houses of influence
Okay.
in our lives. And I borrowed from that idea of taking my life and dividing it into 12 different lifestyle sectors on the basis of those 12 houses. Things like personal identity, resources slash finances, home and family, career, relationships, etc. And in each of those 12 categories, through journal prompts and exercises, I encourage you to deep dive into what you really desire in each of those
Mm.
categories and set for yourself what I call a guiding star, kind of like your North Star in that lifestyle sector for yourself. Like, okay, now I know what my true desire is, and I'm heading towards that so that I'm not going to get distracted then in my life for things that are out of alignment with that. It sounds simple, but it's so easy to get derailed from
Totally.
what we really want and start going in a different direction, like going to law school, going into corporate law, right? And then saying to yourself, hold on, what I really want is over here. Let me pull
Right.
myself back over. So that guiding star becomes the litmus test for everything in your life that you do.
I have a question. So
Yes,
you say it's called
the
the
12
12
guiding
stuff.
stars
Okay,
system.
great. So each of those houses or categories gets a star. So
Yes.
there's not one star.
No, there are 12.
Okay. I feel better. I feel better about following 12 stars that are going in one direction than
Yeah.
one trying to pick one. That's brilliant.
Yeah, because I think there is a lot of benefit. Obviously, you want your system to be a holistic lifestyle at the
Yes.
end of the day, but there are different sectors, just like there are different subjects in school, right?
Oh,
you know, your career sector and your home sector might not necessarily directly overlap, but you do want them to all be synthesized. And I do have a
yes.
process in the book for making sure that they're in harmony with each other and not in conflict
Right. Oh, that's
with each
beautiful.
other.
Okay, continue.
So now, once we know what your guiding stars are, now we're going to goal set, but we're going to goal set in a way of aligning your life with those guiding stars, not goal setting like, I think that it would be responsible of me to follow this career path and
Right.
I'm going to climb that mountain. And then you get to the top and it's like, why did I do that?
Right.
The goals are really about, okay, let's examine where my true desires are, where am I out of alignment, and what are the steps to getting me into alignment
Mm,
so that within the next 1 to 3 years, my life as a complete holistic lifestyle functions the way I really want it to function. It feels the way I really want it to feel at the end of the day. So that's what the book is about, in essence. There are chapters on manifestation in general, manifestation tips. There's some woo stuff. There's some super concrete practical stuff, and I blend it all together to help people achieve their goals.
it's so good. I love it. I'm so happy. And I know you have courses as
Yes.
well. And how are those integrated with the work of the book? Do they work in partnership? How are those going?
So there are a couple of different ways to access my content, right? Like
Mhm.
if your learning style is to pick up a book and read it, great, pick up the book and read it.
Mhm.
If you want to do a live group setting, then I have a course that is structured as there's some pre-recorded videos, there's live group coaching sessions. It's a little more interactive with a group.
Sure. Oh, that's great.
I only offer that a couple times a year though, because it's a closed container for an 8 week period of time.
Beautiful.
If you miss out on that, I do private one on one coaching so we can
Hmm.
get even more personalized in walking you through the system if you prefer a one on one coaching container.
Right. Oh, that's beautiful.
Yeah. So, any of those avenues, you're going to get more or less the same content, but I think that people have different ways of approaching content. So, it's important to offer it in a couple of different ways.
I totally agree. So a woman comes to you, it's like, okay, my youngest just left for college. What am I doing? My husband still works, which is fantastic, but I want to know myself. I
Yeah.
want to be prepared. I think that there's some beauty and grace in the empty nest leading to your partner also being home. So
Yeah.
the people that were usually around all day have left, and the person that was usually gone all day is now here. It's a different relationship. And I think it's so important to be aligned in your relationship with yourself. I mean, this hasn't ever happened to me because I keep getting divorced. But but the last, I feel like for Keith and I, we started as empty nesters,
Mm,
and then we brought Amelia home on our 16th wedding anniversary. We adopted her from
mm,
China. So you're just not the same person the last time you only lived in the house with this guy. And now things change. So how are you help? I mean, essentially, like that's the long way of saying you're in midlife and you're evolving and the structure of what used to fill your days has changed significantly. So is that the kind of person, the woman that you're working with primarily? And how can you help her?
Yeah, so I think anyone can benefit from the system, but I do focus on women in midlife, in part because that's where I am,
Yeah.
right? And so I feel most equipped to
Mm-hmm.
walk alongside somebody who's going through that experience,
Yeah.
but also because I think it's a beautiful moment in our lives.
Right.
Like, this is one of the things that we've been conditioned to think that getting older is like a negative experience, but
Mm-hmm.
getting older is a beautiful experience
Yeah.
because it's like this moment where you're being given the opportunity to step into who you've always wanted to be, right? Because there's a lot less distraction, really. When you're in your early adult years, you are so externally focused. You are
Mm-hmm.
focused on the partner, on the children, on the job, and everything's out here.
Yeah.
And that starts to kind of dissolve a little bit. And it gives you the chance to look inside now and get reacquainted with you. And you may find that you discover parts of yourself that you kind of knew were always there.
Right.
Like when I was younger, I always wanted to write and publish a book. I didn't do it
Mhm.
until I was in my 40s, you know?
Right. Right. I mean, sometimes those are things that you're asked to tone down
Yes.
when you're younger. So they become like, I don't know, secret pleasures instead of
Yes.
something you can actually do. When I was a kid, I loved forms and organization, and I wanted to be Julie McCoy on the Love Boat. I wanted to be the cruise director with my clipboard, and then I became a wedding planner, and now I lead these trips, and I create timelines every day.
Yeah.
That's just what I do.
Yeah.
These things are in us and they evolve.
Yes.
So just like you going to law school was in you and then there was a detour, so then you just picked it up where you left it, but
Yeah.
you are now course correcting and fine tuning. So much of that experience is
Hmm.
absolutely in service to what you're doing now, but you needed to leave that to do what you're doing now
Yeah.
and still get the benefit of it.
Yeah. I mean, one of the beautiful things about midlife is you've lived enough of life to reflect. You still have enough ahead of you that you can course correct and do
Totally.
something new and different. But you've lived enough juicy experience that you can kind of go in there and say, okay, well, what was that about? What did I learn about myself there? What do I really want to get out of that experience? What do I want to take? What do I want to leave? And you have that gorgeous opportunity then to take that knowledge into the second chapter of your life. And I think that's awesome.
Oh my gosh, I agree too. It's so fun. Yay. I love it. And I love knowing you and I love knowing about this beautiful work. Please tell everyone where they can find and follow you, how they can get their hands on the book, all the good things.
Absolutely. So I think the best place for anyone to start is at my website, and that's tammaragardner.com. And Tammara has two M's. So TAMMARAGARDNER.com. And you can kind of choose your adventure from there because I have all of the information about the book, my course, my offerings, all of the socials are linked in the footer of the website. So you can pick where you want to go from there.
Oh, perfect. Well, we will link everything in the show notes, but I have loved this conversation,
Me
Tammara. Thank
too.
you so much.
Thank you very much, Wendy, for having me.
I hope you enjoyed that conversation as much as I did. As always, any links or notes mentioned can be found at phineaswrighthouse.com in the podcast section of our site or in the show notes below. And if you haven't connected with me personally, come find me on Instagram at Phineas Wrighthouse and let me know you listened to this episode. I'd love to get to know you. Thank you for sharing this time with me. I know your days are full, and I'm really grateful that you chose to spend some of your precious time right here. Be sure to subscribe to the podcast so you don't miss any of these delightful conversations. I'll see you next week.